Good morning, students. Welcome back, students. Today, I am going to discuss about the next portions of our chapter. The chapter name is Patterns of Social Inequality and Exclusion. Uh, Last class, I have already discussed about the social stratification and the prejudices, stereotype, what do you mean by the social inequality, discriminations, etc. etc. Today I am going to discuss about social exclusion. Actually, we have to clear it because inequality means somehow it's exclusion. Actually, you are isolating them and exclude them from your group. On the other words, when the people who are excluded are not given the opportunities which are given to the others, expect they are expecting the rights and obligations whatever present in our society, they will be the same. Okay, but except their basic food, clothes, and shelter, like the medical, educational, and the naturalistic comforts. It is not accidental, it's systematic, it's openly done. It is involuntary. The ones who are excluded do not want to be excluded, but we exclude them. After centuries, some people who are excluded um, and either to ignore or they protest. Like the tribe, Dalits came up with two things. They started making their own association, they converted their religion like Muslim and Christian, etc. People excluded once the year are still excluded, but the issues are changing. To bring about change, the mindset of the people has to change. Next point is we have to also discuss that is caste system as a discriminatory system. Correlation between social status and economic status. There is a very close relationship between class and caste. All of you class 12 students, all of you knows very well the differentiation between the class and the caste. The members of the upper caste have better life chances. They have the better opportunities, better prestiges to use the resources. Now it is changing. People from Shudra community or people from other backward class community are occupying higher position, vice versa. Like the K.R. Narayanan, ex-president who was from a Dalit community. But it is a micro level in urban areas where Brahmins are the shopkeeper or the Brahmins are the group D staff, basically the washman or the peon or clerk, while Dalits are doctors and are educated. So the mindset of the people has not changed. So it is not prevalent at the micro level. Now we have to know about the exclusion. Students, in your book, actually inequality, it has a three or the four types of different elements. More or less left one elements are related to the others, like the exclusion, exploitation, humiliation, subordination. All is the result of social inequality. All is the result of social inequality. Yes, inequality is the main point, and all these are the elements of inequality. First, I want to discuss about exclusion. Exclusion, the untouchables was through the old type of exclusion. They were not given opportunities like others and were excluded from the smallest things, and they were excluded from everything. For example, they were not allowed to take water from the wells, pumps, or lake that the Brahmins and the other higher caste are used. They were not allowed to take part in festivals, rituals, and the ceremonies that other would participate in. They had to have a bath with the buffaloes and cows. It is exclusion. So, students, you have to remember the things, the facts, the findings. So, you have to remember it. When in your exam it will come, then we have to explain all the things. Okay. After that, exploitation. It is a results of inequality. Exploitation means they were means the uh, lower classes or the lower caste. They were given very low salaries and low grade jobs like washing the bathrooms, wetting the roads. Um, they were given jobs which no one wanted to do and were not paid. They were treated in an inhuman manner and were taken advantage of. That is exploitation. Still now it's present in our society. Some of the mindset of the peoples still now are not changed. Knowingly or unknowingly, they are practicing this kind of habits still now. As a result of exploitations, we have another term we have to discuss, that is humiliation. What do you mean by the humiliation? They were not allowed to wear bright clothes, by bright color clothes, and could not use the same road which the Brahmins use. Had to work with their heads bowed down with a Brahmin walked by. Could not walk with their chappals in front of the Brahmin, so they would hold it in their hands. They would clean up dead bodies and the different kinds of pollution, and were only included to play the drums from a far off distance. All these are the examples of the humiliation. Another things I have to also discuss, that is subordination. Students, I hope all of you knows that if the inequality is present, as a result we will face all the terms like the exclusions, exploitations, humiliations, and last one is subordination. Subordination, they were below the upper caste and the Brahmin were suppressed. Due to this kind of problem, government was set up lots of rules and regulations for the ST and the SCs, like reservation. Reservation, yes. Laws, policies, amendment, welfare programs, they are meant for those who are socially and economically backward, as they do not have life chances and opportunities which they should have. The government reserved seats for the SCs and the STs, and no one else can take those seats from the upper caste. They are reserved in educational institutions, jobs, parliament. They have a lot of provision like age relaxation, low marks for selection, etc. Now the law. Law. You have to follow the laws. It is a legal framework because law is codified, law is written. So for that's why we all the member of the society, we have to follow the rules and regulations that is already imposed by the state. It is legal framework, not like norms. So Brahmin were the only educated people and the British needed the Brahmin supports. Law were made about caste, but implementations was very poor. That's why in our book we can see that the implementation, first implementation is Caste Disability Removal Act 1815, introduced because they wanted the lower caste to get into the educational institution so they could study and educate themselves. It's an initiative from the government side. Next what? Next is abolitions of untouchability. Article 17. Abolitions of untouchability. Article 17. If practiced, punished by law. Preventions of different kinds of inhuman activities, means humiliation. The act the Brahmins carried out on the lower caste, for example, beating them, not letting them wear bright clothes, washing streets, etc. Constitutional Amendment Act 2005. The 93rd Amendment, it is to do with education, and no one can be devoid of education. They are still socially, economically, and culturally backward. There are social organizations, associations, and political parties and social movement fighting for these classes. For the backward caste and for the backward classes, we have already seen that the social reformers like the Raja Ram Mohan Roy, Dayananda Saraswati, the social reformers, they want to change the mindset of the people. They want to change the society's pattern, the system. That's why Raja Ram Mohan Roy was created Brahmo Samaj. Dayananda Saraswati was created Arya Samaj. Like this kind of institutions like the Dalit Sangharsha Samiti, Bahujan Samaj Party, BSP, Dalit Patnar movement, like that. We have seen all these are, they want to change the system of our society. They want to reform the society. Now we will discuss about next point, that is other backward classes. OBCs. Those groups of the forward caste who are economically backward. These people are very poor and are treated like the Dalits. But there is no untouchability. Reservations are provided to them since they are illiterate. They are very poor, uneducated, and are given the same jobs as the Dalit. In this case, we have seen that the Mandal Commission, large issues in the late 80s and the 90s. V.P. Singh gave reservation in some state but not in other state. So like these kinds of commissions like the Mandal Commission or the others policies help the OBCs to revive themselves. In the time of the colonial period, maximum exploitations of forest dwellers. Forests were cleared for collecting timber, setting up of roads, railway tracks. So the tribal who were dependent on the forest lost their livelihood. Some of them became thieves and stole timber and the other domestic animals. Others went to the nearby cities and towns and became laborers working for wages. Thus, the tribal revolted and protested with lead by the British to serve area known as exclusive areas. The non-tribal were not allowed to enter the area, but this was not implemented properly since the weaker sections were sidelined. After independence, what we have seen? So the different types of caste and class and the other backward classes and the women and the workers, they are always struggling to get back their position in the society. After independence, development continued to take place. So the tribal suffered uh, um, like roads, railway tracks had to be made and timber had to be used. Hydrochloric projects using recreational purposes and the culture of the tribals get clouded. So these displaced the tribals and their livelihood was taken away. The tribals began revolts, rebellions, protests due to exploitation and discrimination. The Adivasi tribal movement came across and three states were formed like Jharkhand, like Uttarakhand and the Chhattisgarh. As a result, they formed three states, that is Jharkhand, Uttarakhand and the Chhattisgarh. Next point, that is women's structure and equality and the right. Here also we will see that the social reformer like the Raja Ram Mohan Roy. Women are considered to be physically and biologically weaker, but they are not socially or economically weak. This is due to the patriarchal society and mindset of the people. The male social reformers wanted to make changes in the society for women and Dalits. We have already learned that the social reformer like the Raja Ram Mohan Roy in 1829 he caused the abolition of Sati Pratha under the Governor General William Bentinck. Later, he started Brahmo Samaj for the upliftment of the status of women by giving the girl child education. He wanted child marriage to end and wanted to encourage widow remarriage. Here also we got another social reformer, that is Dayananda Saraswati. He started Arya Samaj to educate the girl child, upliftment of women both socially and economically, abolitions of child marriage, encourage widow remarriage. He was against the study of Western education and he wanted women to study the Vedas and learn about the housekeeping as they would ultimately become home worker. This social work was gone by the Arya Samaj. Here also we have seen the other social reformers like Jyotiba Phule, like Ishwar Chandra Vidyasagar. So we got lots of social reformers. They want to change the mindset of the people. So students, women's struggle and the other struggle like the tribals and like the OBCs, etc. Actually students, in the chapter, it's a chapter name is inequality and social exclusion. So students, I'm repeatedly I'm telling you that is please go through the whole chapter, because from the whole chapter you have to cover the MCQs and the 1 marks types questions. Next one point is remain, that is differently able and the poverty. They do not have the life chances opportunity that the other have. They are not educated, cannot get jobs, in this leads to poverty. If they are not accepted by their family, it leads to begging. So due to poor condition, improper health and education, mother has too many children, no polio drops lead to disabilities, inadequate immunization, one crowded housing. That's why, according to the 2001 census, 2.19 crore people in India are physically challenged. They differently able began protesting and forming associations and laws by the government. Nowadays, in the malls and the airport, there are bathrooms for them. We have seen it. There are separate educational facilities, but they want to be integrated with the mainstream. Provisions are being made in schools, courts, malls, airport, etc. But it's not enough. Most of the hospitals don't have ramps. The awareness is increasing, but the number of disabled are also increasing. So, students, from the chapter Social Inequality Exclusion, we have learned lots of things. How social inequality creates different kinds of social exclusion, exploitations, humiliations, and subordination. We have seen all these four elements is present in everywhere, like for a women's life, for a physically challenged people, for a Dalits, for a OBCs. So how exclusions and how exploitation, humiliations day by day creates inequality in our society. So students, this much only. Next class I will discuss the questions and answer from the chapter. So I'm requesting to all of you, please before that go through the chapter, and if you have any queries, please note it down. You can ask it me in the Zoom class. Thank you everyone.